Today, I'm doing a modification on the RV that I've never seen before. I want to double the length of my power cord, but I only want to use about this much wire, which isn't a whole lot because my existing power cord is at 30 feet. The problem is our current cord can't always reach the power pedestal when it's near the front of the RV. Our connection is all the way in the back of the RV, and it's a 35-foot RV, and it's only a 30-foot power cord. Couple that with space and weight are limited commodities in RVs, and with our power cord weighing in at just under 22 pounds, and not wanting to add bulk and weight with just a larger power cord, I think I can come up with the solution here. So for the plan is to put an additional RV inlet for the power on the front of the RV because our power inlet is on the far back corner. The funny thing is the breaker panel for the power in the RV is near the front of the RV, but the inlet is at the back. So they had to run a power cable from the inlet in the back all the way over here to the breaker panel. So my plan is to add an additional power inlet to the front of the RV because that'll effectively double the reach of what I can have with my existing power cord. But you can't just add an additional power inlet, you need just a little bit more than that. So let's get into the equipment and to today's sponsor, which is eTrailer. So the first piece of the puzzle that I got from eTrailer was our power inlet. So they have all kinds of things on their website, things that you may not even think about. They have the typical stuff like the hitches, the bike racks, the suspension upgrades that you would be looking for, but they have an entire section for just outdoor gear around the RV. It would be impossible for me to try and list everything that they have on the site. They even have the much simpler, smarter version of doing this is just getting an extension power cord for your 30 or 50 amp RV. They have those too, but this is actually going to pack a little secret punch for a project down the road, being able to power the RV from a truck as you're driving. They also have transfer switches. So if you needed a transfer switch for a generator, or for our case, for an additional power inlet, they have those too. One of the things that sounds really strange that I like about their site are their descriptions. Have you ever been looking for something and you just want the information in a bullet point format where you can just find it all really quickly to know if that's what you wanted to get or not? I appreciate that about their descriptions. I have been using them for a very long time, way before they became a sponsor of the channel. So thank you, eTrailer, for sponsoring this video. I'll leave a link down in the description. Definitely worth checking them out if you're looking for gear for RV. Now, for our equipment list, we have our power inlet, we had our wire, and the last thing we needed was the transfer switch. That other automatic transfer switch has a different purpose for something else down the road, but I'm going to be using this manual transfer switch that I used to have on our old inverter. It's going to save me a little bit of space and weight. It's going to be a little bit harder to set up, so I'll show you how to do it on the automatic transfer switch, but this is what we're going to be using for selecting between the rear and the front, because you don't want those hot at the same time. That would be dangerous and irresponsible. So let's get to the build. First things first is I disconnect the power and I actually remove the power cable in case somebody comes by, plugs it in, and turns it on. It has been known to happen. And then I first wanted to find exactly where I wanted to mount it, and just on the front of the fifth wheel is exactly where it's going to go. So I put some backing in there, and then I have the new wires that I'm going to start running here and connect it into the new inlet. It's really easy to wire because all of it's color coded on the back. We're just going to match the color of wire to the terminal on the back of the inlet here. Torque it down, reassemble it, and then screw it into place. Now I'm going to pull the wires for the input out of our inverter because that needs to go to the transfer switch. And this is the automatic transfer switch. It's wired up exactly as if you had a generator, except for we're going to have the front and the back, and then the lower section is going to be the output that goes to our breaker panel, or for us, our inverter. This is way easier to be able to wire up. Tons of room to be able to make these connections. So line 1, neutral, we have our line 2, and then the ground connection. Number 6 wire is not all that fun to work with, but having a larger work area definitely does help out. And you can use a different type of wire that's more flexible, but that's what I'm dealing with this time. Now I'm a glutton for punishment, so I use this smaller, it's actually a changeover switch, but I modified it to be a transfer switch. And I did a cutaway here so you can see on the inside, those jumper cables make it a transfer switch. And so the wires connected on this side are the output. And on the other side of the switch, we have our back inlet, and then we can wire in the front inlet. All the grounds get tied together. You can see that in the back. It all looks a little bit more complicated than it actually is. You have your 2 inputs and then you have your single output. And on the output side, this is where I want my surge protector to be able to protect either the front or the back coming in before I go to the inverter. If we didn't have an inverter, it would go to the RV breaker panel. So now with this, we can have double the reach we did previously with our power cord. We come into the transfer switch, put it onto 1. You can see that we have power. We switch over the cord to the rear, turn on the power, switch our transfer switch over to number 2, and you can see that we have power. It's really a pretty simple modification. It's taking the idea of a transfer switch for a generator and using it to our advantage to double the reach of our power cord. There's other simple modifications you can do in this area. You can add a reel so you don't have to really wrestle that power cord, make it just a little bit more manageable. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What kind of little modification have you done that just kind of adds some functionality and makes RVing just that much easier? Now we can go into sites where maybe the connection's way in front of where we need to park our truck, and we can still have that connection with only just having the one cord. I'll leave links down in the description to the different components that we used in today's modification, but I think that's gonna do it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you out in some way. So as always, if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will. See you next video. Take care.